Alright, I'm at 1855 Lindenhall Drive. This is second attempt here. We had to get access to the floor clean out here. See, it's right next to the, there's the steps. And here it is. This is going to sweep us straight out towards the, you can see there's some build up here where the line comes out and then comes out right around in here. And then drops, and this is where we couldn't get through the other day. And so what we're doing here is we're going to push all the way out from here, and it should be, once we get past this little bit of cast iron, and the interior cast iron looked good the other day. You always have this build up like this. It's pretty rough. You could always run a like a cutter through here and deburr this a little bit, but it's you know, descale it. But really I wouldn't even mess with it until you had to, because this is you never know if you can, there's different opinions on it, and if you get too rough sometimes it can, you know, put a hole in the side of the cast iron if you don't know how thin or thick it is. It is open though, and as expected, as soon as we get outside it transitions over to clay. This is all normal pipe material for a house of this age. And so we'll push on out. You'll see a little bit of that white stuff, and this is actually, the stuff I'm pushing in front of the camera is actually more from the cast iron making its way out into the clay a little bit. So that little bit of water there is only about, that camera lens is only about a ½ an inch off the bottom of the pipe. And I didn't really mention that we're looking for structural issues mainly on this, or root intrusion. Like I said, this is the second pass. We only made it out to this point on the previous inspection, and so now we're trying to make sure we can get all the way out. This is very little water, but we're trying to, hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit better when we pull back. This isn't, the water itself is not anything to worry about. A lot of times, once we get all the way out to the main, we will be able to see better when we pull back. But so far, this line looks wonderful. You know, a little bit of water in something like this. This is a 6-inch diameter pipe, so having even a ½ an inch of water in this stuff is not a big deal. So you see this part right here. I believe that there used to be a tree out front. This is what it looks like when roots go dormant, when they die off, and then things start kind of mold and stuff starts building on the end of the roots. So the good news is this is nothing to really worry about. It's just some old roots from a previous tree. And as we get out towards the street, I'm assuming, it looks like this is an older type of clay line. Kind of changes color a little bit. This is probably what the developer put in. So we're probably getting fairly close to the street, and because of that, we're getting close to the main also. And so hopefully we'll get all the way out, since it is a little hazy there on the camera lens. Hopefully we can just get out to the main, and then we'll rinse the camera off and we'll be able to see a lot better on the way back. Turning now probably to Y into the main. There we are. Cool. There we are. Made it all the way out to the main. So it's about 81 feet there from the house to the main. and everything looked good. Structurally, the line looks really good. Didn't see anything of any concern. Again, we'll kind of mention that one little bit there at the roots, but like I mentioned earlier, that's those are dormant, and that's why it's got that haze on it. Live roots, you'd be able to see the ends of them a lot better. They'd be pretty clean, and you'd be able to see how they were growing down into the flow line. I'm going to run a little bit of water as we pull back, and that way we can hopefully keep the camera lens pretty clean. We got the water running. We're going to have to wait a minute for the water to make it all the way down to this point. Should be able to see that water start coming by here shortly. See some of it coming down already. It's not a whole lot, but now that the camera lens is kind of cleared off, should be able to go ahead and pull it back and take a look. So as we're pulling back, we've already seen most of this. It was a little hazy, but you can see what we're looking for here is just any structural issues, any holes. Again, the most common thing we usually see is root intrusion on clay lines, and because there's no trees out there, you don't really see much of anything. So at that point, what is this? It's about 46 to 47 feet here. This is that spot that we talked about where it's got some dormant roots. It's not in the flow line, so it's not an active emergency. Or I shouldn't even say emergency, it's not an active issue. And I really wouldn't worry too much about this. If you wanted to, you could have it cleaned with double knife or a jet, but I think that would be kind of a waste of money there at this point. Well, I'll check to see if there's any neighboring trees that might be within the drip edge that might contribute to this, but this is very, very minor as far as the whole length of the line. And because if you see that coating of like grease and stuff, that gets up there, like I said earlier, usually when the roots are no longer growing, it gets coated in all that white stuff, the grease and sewage, because when they're growing, you would see live ends to those roots sticking through that, and it wouldn't look like that. It's about 46 feet. I'm going to keep running this water here, and now it's making things worse.
we go. You can see as we pull back, really not even any spots at all that even cover the lens. Like I mentioned earlier, pushing, a lot of times you're pushing stuff up in front of the lens. When you're pulling back, it doesn't, obviously there's nothing, you're not pushing anything up in front of the lens. So there you are. So about 16 and 46 feet are the only spots where I saw anything. 16. So we're going to finish pulling back here. And we're back into the drum. So the line looked really good structurally. The only spot I saw anything was a little bit at about 16 feet, and then a little more at like a bigger chunk at like 64 feet. It's very minor. It's something maybe you want to have another inspection done in about 5 years or so, just to see if there is any root growth there, see if it's changed at all. I don't believe it will. It does look, it's just sometimes what happens is after you get rid of a tree, sometimes they can continue to grow for 5 to 10 years after the tree's gone, sometimes, depending on how well it's gotten rid of. But the line right now is fully functional. It looks great. You just have those two spots of seemingly dormant root intrusion, and the rest of the line is in great shape. There's no bellies, no breaks. All the connections look nice and tight, and so there's really not a whole lot to report. Just maybe you want to take a look in a few more years and make sure that those roots are staying where they are. If you wanted to add, if you were worried about it, you could use a preventative treatment like Root X and put that down there in a year or so, just to make yourself feel better in case there is any growth. It will help kill it back if it even catches on that little bit. But yeah, structurally the line looked great. So that'll end the inspection at 1855 Lindenhall Drive in Loveland, Ohio.